Hello, San Jose. This is a special boy named Jay.
Special boy.
But he's
Special
in a
boy
band,
for the day.
and he's in a band, and it's called Cartoon Hearts.
Sure is.
We're talking with Jay from Cartoon Hearts.
What's
How you
up?
doing, Jay?
I'm good, Dan.
Thanks for
How
coming
are you?
down.
I'm so stoked to be
We're
here.
so stoked
so scared
for your show coming
Jay, what are you
up
scared of?
on the 14th.
Just the camera. And
Right. Oh, there's a show.
being
There's
perceived.
a show,
Wait, do you get stage fright?
but
No.
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 Is it because you can't see the people out there?
Well, I still get a little stage fright.
What is the difference
Little
between
stage fright.
singing on a stage and being in a video right now?
I like live performances. It's the same reason I prefer playing shows to like being in the studio. I do love being in the studio, and that's where you get stuff done. But like when you're there, everything's under a microscope, and I just like the looseness of a live performance, and just not thinking about it being watched back or listened back to, and just kind of like being in the moment.
Dan.
Well, Dan was saying
well,
something.
no, I was just saying I met you a very long time ago, though, predating Cartoon Hearts when you were singing with. You weren't actually part of Get Married, or
No, I was
you were like
the merch
guest.
guy.
Yeah,
I would fill in guitar.
yeah.
I would just keep band morale high, spirits high.
Really now?
I was sort of a jester of sorts for the band, and they would take me everywhere they went. And yeah, I don't know. Most other bands wouldn't see the appeal, but you know, I was there.
How did
they didn't understand my role.
How did you kind of like? Because then
Finagle my way in there.
Yeah.
Just being me, I guess. I've known Randy almost my whole life, and we grew up on the same street. And then in high school, we got closer in high school, and we started playing music together. And then he was in all these bands, and I was like going to his shows and all this stuff. And I don't know, I met Jake, I think, at like the Rock Shop back in the day, or Nickel City or something like that.
Yeah.
But I would go to their shows, and then it was just like the Friday before. They were going on tour with Stick Up Kid, actually.
Yes.
Now I remember. It was a weekend in SoCal, and they hit me up the night before. They just like called me. It was Randy and Jake, and they're like, "Dude, do you want to come with us and do merch for both bands?"
Yeah.
It's like, hell yeah! I think I was like 21 at the time. It must have been 21. Anyways,
Can I ask you a question about this?
Yeah.
About this story? Were you
Yeah.
a merch guy because you wanted to get into live music, or were you
Yes.
a merch guy because you liked the merch?
both, everything, all of
everything.
it. I liked. They were some of my best friends.
Yeah.
And I was trying. Yeah, I was like, because I got really into music when I was about 15 or 16. That's when I started writing, and I wanted to start a band. I wanted to play shows. I wanted to do all that stuff, but I had no idea how to do any of that. So, but like Randy and Jake were doing that, so I kind of like attached myself to them, and just, I mean, not in a like globby way. Well, maybe they'll say a globby way, but just to like learn and see what they
No,
were
I
doing,
get
and
it.
it was super exciting. And so yeah, the first chance I got to like be in a van and go on tour and like be at their shows, like I was super stoked. Soon after that is when I like started my first band.
What do you feel like has been the most significant things that have happened for your music career?
Being played on Live 105
Yeah.
was really cool. It was last year. A couple times last year. Aaron Axelson gave us a shout out.
Right on.
That was sweet. My first band that I started, Rove, R.I.P. to Rove, we opened for Walk the Moon at Santa Clara University.
Okay.
It was like a random thing, but that was
Walk the
that was like my second live show ever, and it was for like a decent amount of people. And for that band, it was back when they released Shut Up and Dance, so they were all blowing up.
Let me ask you about Santa Clara, because there's always
Yeah.
been sort of a scene, not seen, not seen. You were kind of part of it, then it was not there, and now it seems like it's kind of coming back with a few bands that are
Oh, like at the university?
at the university.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about that. How did that?
I don't know, because I went to college, so I went my freshman year.
Yeah.
But around the time I was getting into college and like going to college is when I really started to do the music thing, like, and fall really in love with songwriting and wanting to play shows and wanting to be in a band and all that stuff. And so I did 1 year, my freshman year, but I commuted and I didn't really like get involved or like try to make friends. I was just like, I treated it like high school. I just like went to class and then went home.
Yeah.
And then I deferred for 2 years and started the music thing. And then when I went back, I kind of just, same thing. I had so much going on outside of school that I didn't really get very involved. But I will tell you, yeah, it wasn't like, I don't know what it was, but there just weren't many bands playing. We got the chance to open for Walk the Moon because Conrad Bernal, actually from California Standard,
Yeah.
and Cartoon Hearts, he went to Santa Clara.
Right.
He was a couple grades above me, and he was involved in the student government and event planning and all that stuff. So
Right.
he was setting up the spring concert, and he had the idea to have a band from the school open. So they held like a battle of bands.
Yeah.
But it was just like we all set up in one gymnasium, and there was 5 bands. But that was like the only 5 bands, and like 3 out of 5 of them like made a band that week. Like they were just like, oh, we're gonna try out. There was only one other like legit band that we kind of went against.
Today,
Yeah.
and maybe even if we're feeling daring tomorrow, what's going on with Cartoon Hearts?
Okay, so as most people know, Cartoon Hearts started as a solo project. It was my solo
It was
project.
the J Project.
It was the J Project.
Yeah.
And Cartoon Hearts was like an artist's name. So that was Cartoon Hearts. I was Cartoon Hearts. And then, because I wanted to bring the production of the album to life during live shows, I started hiring like a band. And there was a lot of like turnover and all this stuff. And then it became like a solidified lineup, so you guys know. And then, actually, recently, is gone back to being a solo project.
Just the J Project again?
It's just the J Project again.
Is
It
that
is.
public information?
It is, but I didn't make an announcement or anything. It wasn't. There was no fight. There was no breakup. It was just the way things kind of went. It was a mutual uncoupling or a conscious like
That's cool.
separation or whatever.
Sometimes things just grow apart.
Yeah, I mean, it was essentially like I felt like we had been at that point because this kind of started to happen back in like October, November-ish. I felt like we had kind of been playing the same songs more or less for about like 2 years or so, and things were kind of feel like a little stale, and I didn't know really what I wanted us or Cartoon Hearts to sound like going forward. But I knew I wanted to like take some time and figure that out. I kind of looked at it like big bands when they go on tour for like. They release an album, they go on tour for like a year and a half, whatever. Then they go away for a little bit, write all the new stuff, then they come back, you know. But if you're just constantly playing, as we are, because, you know, we're just like in the Bay Area circuit right now, we didn't really have the means to like go on tour or anything. After 2 years, I was just like, I think it's time to take a step away, figure out, like write some new stuff and like dive back into the creative process and all that stuff. And then it just kind of worked out. It just became easier, like, to do just like on my own kind of. So I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if it'll become a band again at some point or whatever, but for now it's back to being like a solo project, and I'm just diving into the creative process, really trying to figure out what I want this next chapter to sound like. And that's part of it is live shows. Like I'm not like actively booking shows, but if I'm hit up, this Art Boutiki show is the only one that I actually scheduled, and I'm treating it as like it's kind of like a showcase, but also like very experimental. So I mean, we'll get into like the show and stuff, but the main selling point of, because I know it's gonna be different and it sounds weird that I'm just playing by myself, there will be backing tracks.
Yeah.
There will be half the show I'm playing with Garrett, my old drummer, on drums. So it'll be
Who's coming?
live
He's
drums.
going to be playing here with.
And
his
he's
band,
also
on
and
that
he's
show.
he's actually also a it's the Garrett project. Holy City is
Holy
just
City,
Garrett,
yeah, right,
with
yeah.
full backing tracks.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's so good. He's so good.
He fooled me.
Yeah.
I don't think he mentioned that. Wait, because he hit us up to play.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not separate
But I
from
mean,
you,
it's amazing production. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Part of it is like, I'm gonna be debuting a lot of new songs.
So this is the new chapter of Jay, and you chose Art Boutiki to do it.
Yeah.
That's really special.
Yeah.
What's the new stuff gonna sound like?
It's a little all over the place.
Yeah.
There's a couple that are, like full production, like big band, but like kind of, there's a lot more electronic stuff incorporated. I will say that. I'm kind of pulling a John Mayer in the sense that I'm like breaking my set list up into, I'm doing like an acoustic opening. And so that'll be mostly brand new stuff, stripped down, just acoustic and vocals. And then I'll do a couple that are like me, but with backing tracks. And then Garrett will come up and it'll be like full bandish.
Nice.
Feel, so.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So your lyrics, so your songs, your music,
Yes.
they sound like confessional. Would you say that is correct?
Big time.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. I've never said it that way.
Yeah.
But that's a really good way to put it.
When I hear it, it sounds like somebody who's working through a really big feeling, and this is the only way that I know how to work through it. And you can just kick me under the table if you want me to.
No,
stop.
wow, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about like what is the common thread that gets you to pick up your guitar?
Wow, that's a great question. And that was actually one of the only, I didn't like prepare any answers. I mean, I talked to myself a little bit in the car on the way over, just to kind of get the feeling. But
And you
the
can
only
tell. You seem very polished.
thank you. Yeah. But the only one I was like kind of thinking about was the songwriting process, which is what you're asking about. And I guess it's kind of just, I guess it's always kind of been this way, but especially was this process for Cartoon Hearts and the way Cartoon Hearts started. It was like, it was in a really bad place. And like went through a bad breakup, and there was other stuff, and then also my roommate at the time had gone on tour for like a couple months, so I was like in a really bad place and feeling really lonely, and then also like I was by myself in my apartment, so I was, you know, and kind of just like coping with it unhealthily, and it was just making things worse. And I hadn't written any music for a couple years, or like barely picked up my guitar. I would play cover shows. I never played cover shows. I hate cover songs. That's how down in the weeds I was.
Oh,
I was playing these cover gigs like just for money, and but I hadn't like written anything in a long time. And anyways, you know, long story short, after like a month or so of just like absolutely unhealthy coping mechanisms and just like really like sinking lower, I got to a point, you know, luckily I wouldn't consider it rock bottom, but I got to a point where I was like, you can't go any lower than this, dude. You got to turn things around. And the only way I thought to like process through that was by writing. And so it actually mostly started on piano. Piano's like it's different when I write on piano. I don't know why. I feel more like emotionally connected to the piano when I'm sitting over it and playing it. It was the first instrument I learned when I was a kid, but then I like stopped playing, and I retaught myself in high school. But for some reason, when I'm over the piano, like I can like put my feelings through it. It doesn't work that way with the guitar. If I'm writing a song and there's guitar, it's almost always starts with the lyrics and with a vocal idea or whatever, and then I kind of start playing to match that. But with piano, and I don't mean to sound pretentious, but like it kind of just like the music and the feelings like flow through me into the piano, and then like that melody comes out, and that's when like I start to write. So the first thing I wrote for Cartoon Hearts, or what started this era, was that intro to Around the Bend. So there's Around the Bend, Stone's Throw. That first half of that is Around the Bend, and it was remember when it started. And so that was like me just kind of like processing things through the piano and through the lyrics and writing. And then once that happened, like the floodgates opened. And for the next like 3 months straight, I was just, if I wasn't working, I was locked in my room with my little home studio, just writing and recording all the demos. And then not long after that is when I started actually recording them.
Is that what we're gonna hear in some of the new stuff that's coming up at the new show? At the show this week?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's not that, you know, the last few songs that we put out, like Please Waste My Time and Fight Club and stuff, they're like a little more folksy or upbeat, alternative sounding. A lot of the new stuff is not, it's like much more raw and stripped down. And honestly, more vulnerable than any of the previous work, probably.
Does it make you nervous?
Big time, but I'm excited. I'm also like trying to incorporate like a little more theatrics in the shit, like not like I'm gonna do backflips or anything, but theatrics is just like storytelling from like a visual perspective too. So like specific lighting notes and stuff, and I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It could go terribly wrong, but I'm really excited to try an entirely new way of like presenting my music.
I am really excited to see that.
So,
Dan, what do you think of
me
that?
too.
I'm totally stoked. I'm really happy for you.
I'm glad to hear that. Because I know when I booked this, I think you still thought I was a band. So
yes,
hey,
but I'm not angry.
Hey.
You're like, too late now.
I'm all about people exploring their best self. So you know, I think that's been evident. You know, it's like I think it would have been a little rude to just show up by yourself though on the 14th. I go, where's your band?
No, I would have told you before.
Okay,
I would have told you. We just happened to schedule the interview, so I was like, this is a good time.
This is a good time to let him
lay
know.
the bombs on
when
him.
It's too late to cancel.
Damn,
You know, I would never have done that. I was
that.
telling Emily when we were setting this up. I go, Jay basically, he's earned his spot here. He's our Boutiki royalty. There's not a lot of people who have that, and this is the true form of support is one of the true forms of support is when it comes out of your pocket. Jake comes to other people's shows. he could walk in the front door and wave at me, and I'd let him come in for free. But he buys a ticket, he buys beers, and
Lots of beers.
he does buy a lot of beer.
Yeah. He buys beers. He buys a lot of beers. Too many beers.
Anyway, so he buys the beers and
The man is, like I said, he's royalty here. I wanted to thank you for that support. This means a lot. You come around and you say stuff to me when you're here, and it makes me feel kind of important. So, and I'm happy that we give you the platform here to
Thank you.
to express yourself.
Thank you for saying that. I'm so grateful for you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we feel the same way. This place
Okay.
really is special to me.
What in the man?
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks,
This
Jay.
was
Thanks
awesome.
for coming.
This is really cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Bye.
Bye. Dude, that was great.